Hello, my name is Kathy Schmieder. I'm the guidance counselor for California area middle and elementary school. I'm here today to talk about ways to reduce stress during this difficult time. The virus has affected us all in so many ways and has changed our everyday lives. One of the things that are different for me right now is I'm working from home and I reach out to a lot of families. I talk to them about their children's educational progress. So I know from hearing from families that, they're struggling right now. Things are very stressful. And I know from talking to the kids, they're very stressed out. They are trying to learn this remote education that we're doing. Some of them are very socially isolated and they have their own fears and worries and anxieties over the virus. So it's a very intense and stressful time right now. So I thought this would be a timely presentation. And what I hope that you get out of this presentation is how stress is affecting you, how it might be affecting your child. I would like to provide you with some strategies and techniques that you can use to reduce your stress, to hopefully relieve some of the pressure that you guys are going through right now. So I hope you enjoy, and let's get started. Okay, it's a tough situation, so I thought I'd add some levity and maybe dating myself there, but I do like Spock and Star Trek, so all right. So I wanted to talk about some tips for parenting during COVID. Is one of the first things is don't be afraid to talk to your child about the virus. They may have a lot of questions and concerns and not understand things. So one of the first things you can ask them is what they know about the virus. Ask them if they have any questions. Ask them if they have any concerns. Make sure they have clear information, because oftentimes if children don't, what they do is they fill in the pieces with their own details, and oftentimes it's the worst case scenario. So it's better that the information comes from you and through you to them. So before you do that with them, one of the things you need to do is acknowledge your own anxiety, because children are perceptive. And if they pick up on your fears and such, that's not good. So talk with your spouse, a family member, a friend before you sit down with your child. So you can be very calm and you can listen to them and not express your own insecurities. So one of the things that you can let them know, though, this is an upsetting time. They're allowed to be upset. You can share with them how you're coping with things, and so they can learn their coping skills and strategies from what you're doing. What you can do is try to focus on what you're doing to stay safe. Again, reassuring, conveying positive messages. Discuss what you're doing right. Discuss how their actions can help reduce the spread of COVID and germs, that, by having good hygiene, washing their hands, wearing masks, the family's keeping social distance, they're coughing into the elbows, they're doing everything that you need to do to stay safe, and hopefully this is going to help. And so by them taking their own actions, that can help them feel somewhat in control, and it can help empower them. Reassure your child that they're safe. Provide them with information that is truthful, developmentally appropriate, and try to put it and condense it into the most simplest terms so that they understand it. Children need to feel that they're in a safe environment. They want to be able to trust that their parents are in control. So you want to monitor with them how much exposure they have to the news or social media. You want the information about the virus to come through you. So just to recap some of this, don't be afraid to talk about the virus. Check in with your kids often. Keep an open dialogue. Acknowledge your own insecurities. Find a safe place to talk to other people if need be. But again, try to stay positive. Think of the safe things you're doing. You can even talk, hopefully light at the end of the tunnel with the vaccine coming. So again, be very reassuring. Simplify the dialogue as best you can so that the children understand. But there are things, there may be things that you're worried about with your child. Children and teens have a tough time coping emotionally during these uncertain times. And so there are signs and symptoms of things that you may need to worry about, and we're going to talk about them in a minute. Keep in mind, depending on the age of the child, teenagers tend to hide their struggles, whether it's because of shame or they don't want to bother anybody. They tend to be closed off, where younger kids, sometimes they don't even know how to express what they're feeling. And so you kind of sometimes have to walk them through and ask open-ended questions to elicit information from them. So let's talk now just about what some signs and symptoms are that, could be a problem. Okay, so recognizing some signs of stress in your child, and I've put a bunch down there. And again, all kids respond to stress differently. I oftentimes with kids, I look at functioning. If you can't get your child online for school, if you notice that, it's usually a kid that enjoyed certain activities and that's changed, so there's a lot that goes into this. And it's about knowing your own child. And sometimes you have to look at the changes. But if you see a lot of excessive worrying or sadness in a child, irritability can also be something you might see with kids. Often teenagers, kids that are depressed, you think, oh, they're sad all the time. But oftentimes, especially with adolescents, you even see more of that irritability. They don't have the tolerance that they normally will for things. You see a regression in behavior. They go back to things that they did when they were younger, when they felt more comfortable and secure. So you might see a younger child that hasn't thrown a temper tantrum in a long time starting to do that, or an older child requiring an unusual amount of attention. Some other things you may see is hyperactivity, restlessness. They have a high degree of energy, seem driven, change in eating habits. They may not be eating enough. They may be eating too much, and the same with sleeping. So they may want to be sleeping all the time, or they're having a hard time falling asleep or staying asleep. Irritability or acting out. You may see children crying a lot. They're real hard to console. Older child, you may see them lashing out at you. One of the other things, anxiety especially can bring this on. Children being very clingy, not wanting to separate from you for any reason. That's usually a reassurance thing for them when they're feeling stress and anxiety. Some of the other things you may see is isolation from the family and friends, conflicts a lot with siblings or parents. If you see a change in school performance, so a kid that's normally a very conscientious student now doesn't want to get online with the teachers, not getting their work completed. They may be hiding things from you. Other things you may see is difficulty with paying attention and concentrating. So they sit down to do something and normally they're able to focus, but now you notice they're all over the place. They can't sustain focus. One of the other things I see this with kids a lot, avoidance, things that kids normally enjoy. So if it's a real social kid now, you see them isolating. They're not reaching out to friends. They're not using social media. A change in behavior, or a kid that's real musically inclined, always likes to play the piano. Now you never see them on there, or you never see her on there. So those avoidance of behaviors, that can definitely be a sign of trouble, oftentimes depression. They just don't enjoy things that they normally would, or find pleasure in things that they normally would find pleasure in. Some other things that may be indicators of stress: unexplained headaches, body aches. I see this a lot with kids in school, especially around anxiety. Some other things, change in hygiene. They just don't want to take care of themselves. They don't want to wash their hair, change their clothes, groom. And again, especially if that is a change. Older kids, some risky behaviors you got to definitely keep an eye on. If you think the kids are experimenting using drugs or tobacco or alcohol, and I'm going to talk in a minute about some resources we have at the school for that. And then Lastly, if the kid starts talking about or fixating on death, or talking about not wanting to be here, or obviously talking about suicide, this is something you never want to take lightly. And I'm going to, talk about some resources we have, but definitely something you need to address very quickly. So we're talking about things that you may be seeing in your kids, change in behavior due to all the stress that they're under right now, and who can you reach out to for help. I've made a list here. One of the first people you can reach out to is your pediatrician. They know your child, they know your family. They might be able to help you if your child's having eating or sleeping issues. They may be able to point you in a direction if they think it's something non-medical. The school is a great resource. We run a program called the Student Assistance Team, and that is used to connect kids if we're concerned that there may be a need for counseling, or if there's a drug and alcohol problem. And so we do an assessment with the kids, and we talk with the teachers and the families, and then we can help connect you. We actually have Centerville Clinic that comes in, and they do school-based therapy at our school. We can also, if you have private insurance, help you find a clinician through your insurance company. So at the K-8 building, I am the guidance counselor, again, Kathy Schmieder, and at the high school, Nadia U-Haul, and we're here to help in any way we can. Michelle Galentine is also part of our student support team at the school, and she's through the IU, and she works with some of our kids that are in our special ed population. And I talked earlier, if you're seeing kids focusing on death or suicide, obviously, 911, if it's urgent, or, you can reach out to Washington County has a crisis line. We actually have a crisis team that can come out to the school or can come out to the home. So, please reach out if you have any concerns about your child. Okay, just trying to add a little humor here. Social distancing. It's pretty easy to find Waldo there. But we are going to talk what you do when you're feeling a little lost. How do you take care of yourself? We're going to talk about some self-care tips. We're going to talk now about self-care and the importance of taking care of yourself during this stressful time. I like this little advisement that airlines give to parents and guardians if they're traveling with their children, and I think it's a good metaphor for life. If a plane were to run into any sort of problem and the oxygen mask drop down, your first reaction may be to reach over and try to help your child, but they advise you to first put your oxygen mask on so that you're able to breathe and think clearly, and then reach over and help your child. And I think that compares to the times right now, that if you're not feeling your best and you're stressed out and burned out, then you're not going to be the best to help others. So taking the time, giving yourself a break, not feeling guilty about it, I think is so important. And we're going to talk a little bit more in a minute about some self-care tips that I have. So we're going to talk a little bit about self-help and self-care. One of the first things is cutting yourself some slack. This is a very intense time. You can't be perfect. You can't hold yourself to the same standards that you did, say, a year ago when we didn't have COVID. So give yourself a break. Take time for yourself. And this is hard, I know, for guardians and parents, particularly now. But again, if you're not feeling good and you're feeling worn out, you're not as your best self for your children. You have to try, and I know it's hard, and it's hard for me as well, to make healthy choices, try to have a routine, go to bed at a certain time, get the kids on a regiment when it comes to school, try to make good, healthy eating choices. And I know it's very hard at this time of year, but to try to get out and exercise. And you can do those things with your kids, and you can incorporate that into their daily choices. So trying to reconnect with things you enjoy, finding some pleasure in your own life. What is something you may be at home more, than you've ever been before. Do you like to do crafts? Do you like to go out and walk in nature? What are things that you enjoy? That if you're feeling stronger and better about the situation, again, you're going to be healthier for your kids. So I talked a little bit earlier about cutting yourself some slack, and that means setting healthy boundaries, being able to say no. You can't be everything to everyone. Being able to prioritize what's important and to be realistic when establishing goals. Focus on things you can control. Again, that's going to make your anxiety be reduced if you're going to focus on things that you can do and you can control. And if it starts getting tough, reach out for a support system. Hopefully, you have family that you can rely on, or friends, or a spouse. But if you don't let anybody know what you're going through, no one's going to be there to help. So sometimes that's the hardest part, is being able to let our guard down and reach out and let somebody know, hey, I'm very stressed. The kids won't get online for me. I know as I call parents, oftentimes I'm a sounding board and, try to offer tips or suggestions, or even ask the kid to talk to me for a while about what's going on. And maybe that can help. But do not ignore your own thoughts and your own feelings. Okay, I'm going to finish up talking about self-care, but I just want you to take a minute and really give an honest self-assessment of how you're doing right now, how your physical, your emotional well-being. And if it's not good, start to develop a plan. Don't feel guilty about giving yourself time. I'm going to show you a video in a minute. It's about mindfulness, and going to talk a little bit too after the video about some strategies. All of these things that I'm talking about from this point forward are things that I use in my own life. I practice mindfulness. I use breathing techniques. I use all of these things. So I'm hoping to share them with you. I'm hoping they help reduce some of the tension that you have in your life.
What's the use? We just end up arguing and it stresses me out. I don't have the energy to talk to her right now.
Oh my, I have to finish this paper, study for midterms, and create a presentation all by tomorrow afternoon. There's just too much to do and I can't focus. Ugh, everything is so stressful.
Mindfulness is the practice of acknowledging what you're feeling without judging the emotions or sensations as you're feeling them. Why practice mindfulness? Well, it helps to direct attention away from stress or other negative thoughts. It can also help support good mental health by giving you a simple way to manage negative thoughts and emotions. You can practice mindfulness anywhere, at any time, and produce a state of mindfulness meditation in many different ways.
I've been using mindfulness on my breaks at work and after long, stressful days. I just find a quiet space to do it. Sometimes it's an empty room or my parked car.
Simple things like guided breathing techniques while sitting in traffic, to more structured practices like body scanning or walking meditation can all promote relaxation and reduce stress. Here are some ways you can incorporate mindfulness into everyday activities. Pay attention. Focus on sights, smells, sounds, and textures in your environment. Acknowledge each sense before focusing on the next one. Live in the moment. Don't think of things in the past or worry about the future. Concentrate on what is happening here and now. Accept yourself. Speak kindly to yourself. Use gentle words for yourself, like you would use for your loved ones. Focus on your breathing. Intentionally breathe in and out in a slow, calculated way.
I found an app that helps me use mindfulness. I put on my headphones and just focus on the audio to let my mind and body fully relax.
Using these techniques may lead to some of the following mental health benefits. You might learn better ways to control your emotions and be able to handle stressful events more easily. It could even help to improve relationships with friends and family. Research suggests that people who practice mindfulness may be able to handle conflict more effectively. Mindfulness can allow us to be more present and self-aware. Many people recognize the benefits of mindfulness and even set time aside every day for more structured techniques. These could include body scan meditation. Lie on your back with your legs extended. From head to toe or toe to head, slowly focus your attention on each area of your body, pausing at each body part to become aware of the physical sensations and emotions you feel. Sitting meditation. In a comfortable seated position, breathe through your nose and focus your attention on each breath. If physical sensations or emotions interrupt, it's okay. Just acknowledge them and refocus on your breathing. Walking meditation. Slowly walk in a quiet place about 15 feet in length. Become aware of the movements of your body and the sensation of your feet striking the ground. Continue walking until you reach the end of your path, then turn around and maintain constant awareness of each movement.
During my first practice, I could not stop my mind from thinking of my to-do list. But as I kept practicing, I found myself more focused. Now I practice consistently, which allows me to disconnect from my stress and get me refocused on what I need to do.
Mindfulness has reduced my stress and helped me be more relaxed and open-minded when I have conversations with my mom.
Try these mindfulness techniques and make them work with your schedule. Remember to be patient and continue to practice, as this may be able to help you in lots of ways.
I hope you enjoyed the video about mindfulness and you may have a clearer understanding of it. I'm going to take you through a little exercise. This is mindfulness made easy, and they're recommending only 10 minutes a day. And I said, no, sometimes even that is hard to find, 10 minutes a day to give to yourself. But I really would like for you to try, especially if you're feeling stressed out or a lot of tension. So I'm going to take you through a quick exercise with this right now, and it's only going to be a minute or so, but I just want you to find a place to sit. I want you to sit up as straight as possible. Relax your head, relax your neck, your shoulders. I want you to take some nice deep breaths. I want you to close your eyes, relax all your muscles the best you can. Relax the muscles in your face, the muscles in your neck, and your shoulders, your arms. Your hands are resting in your lap, all your muscles, all the way down to your legs. And you're just taking nice, deep breaths, and you're focusing on your breathing in and out. And you're feeling your chest rise and fall. You're taking nice, deep breaths. You feel the expansion of your stomach. And you're taking nice, deep breaths, and you're just focusing on your breathing, relaxing your muscles. You're trying not to think of anything else. Just being in the present, focus on your breathing. No other thoughts may try to sneak in there, and that's okay. That's very normal. You just don't get upset, don't get mad, just push them away and go back to focusing on your breathing. Some people like to count during this. I'm going to be talking a little bit about some other breathing techniques that you can incorporate. You can incorporate mindfulness into meditation. You can take classes. There's apps. So there's a lot of things, but just think about, how did that minute make you feel? Did it make you feel a little bit more relaxed? Just to focus on yourself, focus on relaxing your muscles, focus on your breathing, not letting all of the upsetting thoughts come into your head. So this is something you try to practice on a daily routine. Again, it's 10 minutes. You can make it longer if you have the time, but at least 10 minutes. Give yourself every day to start to practice mindfulness. Try an app if you're having a hard time. There's a ton of them out there. watch some videos. But again, the main thing is that you just try to practice. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about mindfulness, and I have attached some resources at the end of this presentation. If you'd like to start maybe practicing this technique, there will also be some things in there to teach children mindfulness. One of the easiest ways to teach mindfulness to children is to start to break down the components. And one of those components, obviously, is looking at your breathing. Breathing is a natural function, and we don't really pay much attention to it. And basically, breathing techniques or breathing exercises, it's bringing your awareness to your breathing and basically every breath that you take. One of the techniques that I use with kids, because it's a very simple technique and it's a very effective technique, is called box breathing. And they actually use this in the military with the Navy SEALs because it can very quickly reduce stress. And if you look at the diagram, you're going to see it's a 4-second. What you're going to do is take a breath in for 4 seconds. Hold the breath for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, then hold again for 4 seconds. And you do this repeatedly, and you focus again on each breath. And I do this with the kids. I teach this to the kids. I draw this little diagram for the kids to take with them sometimes to practice this technique. The next stress reduction method that I'm going to talk about is progressive muscle relaxation, or PMR, and it kind of sounds like what it is. So basically what it is you're tightening and then relaxing groups of your muscles. And I was actually taught this in middle school, and I've used it my whole life as a way to fall asleep, but it's a great way to reduce stress. So I'm going to give you kind of a sample of this. What I want you to do right now is I want you to take one of your fists and I want you to squeeze it very hard. Notice how tight your fingers and your forearms feel. And we're going to count to 10. I want you to keep that fist clenched. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now I want you to release. And do you feel that when you let off that tension and kind of let your hand go limp? And that's kind of what we're going to do with our whole body, okay? So step one is you find a comfortable place. I do this with kids in school while they sit in chairs. You can lay in your bed. You're going to get nice breaths. Inhale deeply through your nose and then exhale from your mouth. And what you're going to do is you're going to tighten and release different muscle groups. So you're going to start in your toes. You can go either direction. You can start with your face and your shoulders and your head. But usually I start with my toes, and you're going to clench and press your heels towards the ground and squeeze tightly for a few breaths, and then you release. Now you flex your feet in, pointing your toes up towards your head, and you hold for a few seconds, and then you release. And you continue to work your way through your whole body, tightening and releasing each muscle group. You work your way through your legs, your glutes, your abdominal, back, hands, arms, shoulders, neck, and face. And you try to tighten each of these muscle groups for a few breaths, and then you release. And then you can repeat any areas that still feel especially stiff. But I'll tell you, this is a really good way to help you fall asleep. I can give you another good tip on if you have a hard time falling asleep. Another good way I heard this tip along the way, is if you're having a hard time as you're ready to fall asleep, think of a random, emotionally neutral word consisting of at least 5 letters. Okay, and after you pick the word, you begin looking at each letter. So you take the first letter and you picture each word in your mind for 5 to 10 seconds. So for instance, if you pick the word bedtime, you're going to take the first letter and you're going to think of all the words that begin with that first letter. So maybe your first image might be a baby. So you think of a baby in your mind, then you might think of a ball, and you imagine a ball rolling down the street. You might think of someone blinking or a banana. And so you go and you think and imagine as many of the things that begin with B as you can. And then when you run out or you get tired of that letter, you move on. So the next letter would be E, and you might think of elephant, and you go on forward through the word and you try to think of as many things as you can associated with those letters. And so it's strange, but it really works. So it gets your mind away from what you might be stressing about. And actually, I think shuffles your thoughts so much that it helps you fall asleep. So give it a try if you have any insomnia like me. The next one we're going to talk about here is visualization. Visualization is another powerful technique that can help you unwind and release stress. And it's basically involves using mental imagery to achieve a more relaxed state of mind, similar to daydreaming, but a little different because it's directed. And you can do this anywhere. I often do this. I know I get nervous if I have to get a shot, so I will do some visualization. And when I'm getting my blood pressure taken, to try to calm myself. So basically, visualization works to expand your ability to rest and relax by focusing your mind on more calming and serene type of imagery. And you can actually put these techniques together. You can use visualization with the breathing technique. You can actually do progressive muscle relaxation before you do your visualization, so you're very relaxed. But I'm going to do a little one with you right now. I know I always use the beach. It's my favorite place in the world. A lot of people do use beach scenes when they use visualization because it is a very calming, tranquil scene. So you can feel free to change it to meet your needs, but we're going to do a little visual imagery right now. I want you to just get relaxed, put your hands in your lap, close your eyes, take some nice deep breaths in and some nice deep breaths out. And I want you to envision, and you're going to use all of your senses here. I want you to envision that you're at the beach. It's a white sandy beach and you feel very safe and you feel very calm and relaxed. You're looking out at the turquoise water and it's blue and it's clear. The sky above you is beautiful. The sun is shining down on your face. You hear the sounds of the soft waves as the tide gently rolls in. You feel the weight of your body sinking down into the sand. You can feel the warmth of the sand on your body, on your feet. You relax your face and you let go of any tension in your forehead, any tension that might be between your eyebrows, your neck, your throat. You just soften your whole face, soften your eyes, and you just feel very relaxed. And you're breathing and you're thinking about the beach. You're feeling the gentle breeze, the sun on your face. You're hearing the water roll in. So once the visualization and the relaxation feels complete, imagine now that you get up off the beach and you walk slowly away. Remember that this beautiful place is here for you whenever you need to come back, and you take your time and you slowly open your eyes. So again, you can use this anywhere, anytime. You can, again, use it when you're stressed, use it to help fall asleep. Just some other stress reducers. And again, everybody's different, but taking a bath, listening to music, exercising, being out in nature, whatever works for you. The important thing is that you pay attention to how you're feeling. You pay attention and be mindful of how your children are feeling and doing. And you take the time and you make a plan to start to feel better. And hopefully some of these techniques can help you. I appreciate you watching, and I hope you learned some additional ways to handle stress. Please take care of yourself, and if there's anything you need, please reach out to us. Thank you.